What's up guys, welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
Volume 20, Chapter 2. Report and Countermeasures.
Has Velzard made a move?
Vega, who had been watching the screen with a pale face, gave a nod in response to Feldway.
Damn it, both Demon Lord Milam and Zelenus are way stronger than I expected. Shit, they're incredibly strong. And me? I'm just sitting here watching, realizing I don't even come close to that Velzard woman.
Even Vega, usually full of confidence, had to acknowledge the massive gap between him and Milam and Zelenus after witnessing their battle. He finally understood the extent of their power.
Don't get too worked up about it. When I heard that our long-standing foes, the Insectors, had been wiped out, I had my own thoughts on the matter.
Celerio, who had recently been summoned back, chimed in. Milam's forces had managed to defeat the enemy that had plagued them for so long. And even though they suffered heavy damage, Milam's troops had no casualties. While strategy and conditions played a role in their victory, Celerio couldn't deny that he had failed to anticipate it. The truth was that Milam's side had outperformed Zalario's, and it was no surprise that he was displeased.
So, what's your plan, Feldway?
That question was about Velzard's intentions. She seemed to be planning something, but Feldway hadn't intervened. Celerio believed things had strayed from the original plan, and he thought it was time to make some adjustments. And there was another voice of frustration.
Exactly! If you had not interfered, I would have already defeated that divine enemy. What's your plan? Explain yourself right now.
Back at the Heavenly Star Palace, Feldway had ordered Mai to display the war developments from different regions around the world. Then, he tasked Celerio with retrieving Jahil, who had been leading a diversionary attack against Ruminas' camp. Jahil's actions had been too conspicuous to be considered a mere diversion. Celerio was justified in stopping him, but Jahil, now stopped, wasn't pleased. He was practically challenging Feldway.
Don't rush things. You wouldn't have been able to defeat Demon Lord Ruminas on your own anyway.
Are you mocking me?
That's not it. I just prefer to move cautiously. Now that Dagro has joined us, the balance of power is clearly in our favor. With Fen as one of the 3 star commanders, Ruminas is nothing more than a memory.
Feldway said this to calm Jahil's anger. However, Jahil remained dissatisfied.
I won't deny Fan's strength, but Ruminas, the enemy of the divine ancestor, should be dealt with by my own hand.
In a way, Jahil's frustration was fueled by a deep-seated grudge. Whether Footman's takeover played a part in it was uncertain, but Jahil's heart was ablaze with fury. That's why his attack on Ruminas had been so reckless. Being stopped had only added to Jahil's rage, leaving him frustrated. But then, all of a sudden.
Are you listening?
Feldway's question was spoken softly, almost casually. There was no menace behind it, but the sheer authority in his tone made even Dino and the others, who weren't part of the conversation, tense up.
No, that was my mistake.
Jahil quickly composed himself and apologized right away. It was a smart move.
Feldway, your overwhelming presence can be overwhelming to those not accustomed to it. Now that you're back to your true self, you're far more formidable than before. Keep that in mind.
With Celerio stepping in to calm Jahil, the situation was finally settled. And so, the narrative returns to the starting point. At present, Feldway had 3 main strategic objectives. First, to claim the ultimate skill, Hope King Sariel, from Hero Chronoa. Second, to neutralize the potential threat posed by Hero Masayuki, which included taking his ultimate skill, Covenant King Uriel. And the most crucial goal of all, to obtain the Dragon Factor, from Veldora. Feldway had decided it was time to reassess his priorities. The first step was gathering the skills. Since he now wielded Michael's powers, Feldway could identify angelic ultimate skills, though. It was Michael, not Feldway, who had been fixated on collecting the angelic abilities. As Michael was the will that resided within those powers, he believed that by uniting them, one could reach the ultimate, the all-powerful. This all-powerful referred to the resurrection of the omniscient and omnipotent creator. While the theory made sense, Feldway was doubtful. His reason? Veldanava, after all, had not been omnipotent or omniscient. From the start, Veldanava had admitted he had relinquished those powers, leaving no reason to doubt his words. In fact, Feldway often mused that if Veldanava had been lying, he wouldn't have lost his powers and fallen to humans. Then again, it was Veldanava himself who had instilled desires in humans. This led to the endless chain of actions and consequences, something Veldanava had brought upon himself. That's why Feldway had no doubts that Veldanava no longer held omniscience or omnipotence. With that in mind, searching for the lost skills seemed pointless. What good was accumulating those powers if there was no one to inherit them? Feldway and Michael had hoped to bring Veldanava back to life by using the best candidate from the first hero's bloodline as a vessel. However, that plan had utterly failed. Michael had been defeated, and his body lost. Now that this had transpired, dealing with Masayuki was no longer a top priority. Emperor Masayuki, huh? Feldway didn't like to be on the losing side, but victory or defeat was merely a matter of time. He realized it wasn't worth losing focus on the bigger picture. Zolario and his team had been unsuccessful in capturing Masayuki, who possessed the power of true hero Rudra. Plus, with Velgrand on Masayuki's side, a half-hearted approach would only result in defeat. At this point, Feldway, Velzard, or even Zelenus would need to intervene to stand a chance. But even then, winning the fight seemed to offer little in return. As a result, Feldway narrowed down his objectives. If Masayuki was no longer a target, then there was no point in chasing hero Chronoa either. Even if they eventually took out Masayuki, there was no need to start with him. He could wait until Masayuki came to them, saving their resources from being spread too thin. After all, it seemed all hope was gone. Shaking off those doubts, Feldway's thoughts solidified.
So, what's the plan?
Jahil asked impatiently, just at the right moment.
We're focusing solely on obtaining Veldora's dragon factor.
Feldway explained.
But we need to act carefully, so our true mission remains hidden.
After the others had left, Feldway quietly muttered to himself.
Now then, will Velzard achieve what she set out to do?
To Feldway, Velzard was the key to securing victory in this conflict. That's what he believed, at least.
Her desire is real, and nothing will change the outcome.
Feldway was certain of this, and a cold, satisfied smile crossed his striking face. In the holy city where Shion, Adelman, and the others had been sent, the holy empire of Rubirius. I was sitting back on the sofa, trying to relax. Shion, sitting beside me, proudly requested another cup of tea. Ruminas' maids responded right away. Shion accepted the tea as if it were nothing, completely at ease with the elaborate tea ceremony unfolding before us, as though there wasn't a care in the world. What's going on here? I'm technically in a higher position, so isn't it weird how I'm the one feeling nervous while Shion, who's supposed to be my secretary, is completely relaxed? No, I probably shouldn't dwell on it.
Rimuru-sama, this dessert is incredible. I've already tested it for poison, so please try it.
Shion handed it to me, and without thinking, I popped it into my mouth. It crossed my mind how absurd it was that Shion, who had zero knowledge about poison detection, was the one doing the testing, but whatever. I didn't really need to worry about poison, it wouldn't affect me anyway. It was, in fact, delicious. Shion might not have the best artistic sense, but she definitely had a knack for flavor. That's why it's so puzzling, she never bothers to taste her own cooking before serving it. Even though she's using her skill to refine the flavors, the presentation and texture are still a mess.
So, what do you think? Is it tasty?
Yes, it is. It's not too sweet, and it has a refreshing quality. I love how it crumbles in my mouth.
The treat was similar to a financier. It had a hint of savory flavor, and it was genuinely delicious. Shion beamed at my compliment and then casually dropped a bombshell.
I'm so glad. I had a good feeling about this one, but it's a relief that Rimuru-sama enjoyed it.
Huh?
I paused, staring at Shion in surprise. Her usual cheerful smile was plastered across her face. I glanced down at the dessert in my hand, then back at Shion.
Wait, you didn't.
That's right. I made it.
You're joking, right?
It was hard to believe, but it seemed she was telling the truth. It had been a while since I'd seen Shion looking so proud of herself, and for once, she deserved to boast. She had finally mastered not just the flavor but also the texture and appearance. But wait.
Did you use your skill to get it to look and taste like this?
No. I did it all by hand.
Shion had made remarkable progress. It seems like sometimes a change of scenery can make all the difference. Shuna and Benimaru hadn't been able to teach her much, no matter how hard they tried, yet somehow, Shion had a breakthrough after coming to this new place. I wondered what the catalyst was. Just as I was pondering, a voice answered my unspoken question.
It took a lot of effort.
Ruminas entered the room, throwing out this comment. As I stood up to greet her, she gave me a quick, sorry for the wait, and casually seated herself on the sofa, as if she had nothing to apologize for. Then, she elaborated on what she had just said.
Can you believe it? She said she could cook, so I trusted her with the job, and then she produced some bizarre concoction that couldn't even be called food.
Rumina's tone was sharp. The word, bizarre, was so heavy with meaning that I couldn't help but be a little bewildered.
And what's more, the texture was atrocious, but the flavor wasn't half bad, which was totally confusing. Some people even tried to recreate it for fun. I was so concerned it would ruin our food culture that I had to step in.
She sounded both exasperated and frustrated.
Huh?
I was left speechless.
But still, I'm amazed you were able to help Shion improve. We had pretty much given up on her a long time ago, so it's honestly impressive.
Trying to smooth things over, I complimented her, but Ruminas shot me a withering glare. Meanwhile, Shion puffed out her cheeks in protest. I pretended not to notice either of them and waited for Rumina's response.
I can tell you've all been indulging Shion quite a bit, but that's not really my concern. However, when it started causing real trouble, I had to step in.
Oh?
Saying I spoiled her wasn't exactly accurate, but from an outsider's perspective, it probably looked that way. The reality was, aside from Shuna, neither Benimaru nor I knew how to cook, so we couldn't exactly be harsh with Shion. It'd be pretty hypocritical to criticize someone for something I couldn't do myself. I had hoped Shuna or maybe Gobichi-kun would give her some constructive feedback, but Shuna was too kind-hearted and gave up easily, while Gobichi-kun didn't have enough influence to get through to Shion. As a result, nothing really changed. Sure, the taste improved over time, but it wasn't quite enough to make her cooking deadly anymore. Looking back, I should have taken up cooking myself to better understand what Shion was dealing with. If I had, I might have noticed areas where she could improve and this whole situation could have been resolved earlier. Benimaru and I both turned a blind eye to our own weaknesses, and that's where we went wrong. As I pondered this, Ruminas provided the answer.
You should always taste the food before serving it to others. It might be poisoned.
So that's what it was. That explains why Shion was mentioning poison testing earlier.
A big thanks to the AnimeKouhai patrons who made this video possible. Jared Bressler, Havox, Speed Saber, Curtis Loban, Judah Herrera, Just a Guy, Miss L.W. Hernandez, Jason Martin, Zach Rosen, Jerry Sladek, Ray Perez, Jay, Donald Williams, Day of Light, John M, Godman Gaming, Markithian Tidwell, Adrian, Kumo, T. Bush, JV, Thomas, Christ, Joshua Cousins, Jose Hernandez, Khalid, Christian Deshazer, Divine C. Harris, Montyboy98, Ruben, Yuki Iki, Gray, Isaac, Koala King 93, Quilly Buckner, Alver, Darius King, Normal Defate, Vicente Baharias, Joshua Andrade, L, Gary Miles, Dragon Spawn 666, J. Rule, Nate, Leiron Sangkap, Lucas Guet, Jason Martin, Christopher Mash, Charles Bailey, Sky T, Diego Ginoza, Andre Hamilton, Martin Ramos, Guy Ensley, Simon Rode, Emperor WSA, Miko Espinosa, Gobi Lin, Pratik Bandari, Faiz Mansour, Jackson Early, Smexy, Carl Stephen Bernadal, Gareth Hashimoto, Steven Madison, Vasto Lord, Marl Barsha, Ralph Ignacio, Efrain Hernandez, William Locke, Kamal Luke, Jahid Hassan Lipu, Spencer Candila, Ian Sikibiol, Thanacorn Lee Sawat, KACP9R, The Harv, Drayden Yamauchi, Alex Buthanu, Michael Brinkley, Nathan Alexander, Mario Kanoy, Karam Faraj. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.